This is Digital Marketing Depot, broadcasting live. I'm Karen Burka, your webinar producer. Thank you for joining us today for Ramp Up Your Amazon Ad Game, 5 Tips for Success. We are very pleased to welcome Bryant Garvin, Director of Online Advertising at iServe, and Wes McLaughlin, Senior Vice President of Marketing at Marin Software. Now, before I turn the webinar over to our speakers, I want to tell all of you a couple of things. If you need some help or have a question for our speakers, just use the Q&A box, and we will do our best to help you. If you want to tell a friend, check out our sponsor, Marin Software, or Digital Marketing Depot. There are some widgets at the bottom of your screen. Just click on them, and they will take you where you want to go. Remember, you can customize your audience console to move or resize any windows that you have open. Now, we are going to hear a lot of great content today, so I wanted to let you know we are recording this broadcast, and we will make it available for viewing on demand this afternoon. I'll send an email when it's ready. So, with that business taken care of, let me make some more formal introductions. Bryant Garvin has managed and led teams that have spent over $150 million in advertising over the last 6 years, driving hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. He's worked with brands ranging from startups to the Fortune 500 and has worked in in-house marketing positions to develop a keen understanding of the complexity that in-house managers face every day. Wes McLaughlin has over a decade of experience developing and delivering analytical enterprise SaaS applications, including 4 years with Applied Predictive Technologies, working on the company's platform to help retailers maximize the return on their promotional spending. Audience, you can see more complete bios and contact information for our speakers on the left side of your console. Remember, if you have questions for our industry experts, please make good use of that Q&A box. I'll get to as many of those questions live after the formal presentation. So with that, I will turn the webinar over to Wes McLaughlin to get us started. There you go, Wes.
Thanks, Karen. The goal today is to give everyone a solid foundation on what advertising on Amazon looks like. Let me flip over to the agenda here. I think we all are familiar with Amazon, and of course, if you weren't, you wouldn't be on this webinar, but want to get into a little bit of detail on why Amazon matters for advertisers and brands. We'll then dive into a few of the different solutions that they have, and then I'll hand it off to Bryant for some real-world examples of his experience with Purple Mattress and how they were leveraging Amazon to help drive growth of the Purple brand and business. And then we'll come back and get a little bit into the weeds on how to set up your Amazon campaigns and 5 specific tips for success on how you can get started and accelerate ahead of your competitors. So with that, let's dive right in. I think we all know how important Amazon is in the overall e-commerce arena, but wanted to throw out a few stats and figures for everybody just to illustrate that point. First one here is a number that they finally released in their Q2 earnings. There's been a lot of speculation about this, and they finally came forward with it. Amazon has 100 million Prime subscribers globally. It's a massive number of incredibly loyal customers. Prime, of course, is their service that gives you, amongst a host of other benefits, free shipping on your orders. And so for Prime customers, that's often the first stop you go to when you're looking for something, to buy something. I've seen estimates that this covers approximately 2/3 of U.S. households. And according to some Forrester research that we've seen, the average Prime household orders 61 times per year. That's once every 6 days. I found that stat astounding and actually went back and looked at my 2017 orders, which isn't that hard to do on Amazon, and I counted it all up, and I actually had ordered 63 times on Amazon. So I guess that makes me slightly above average, but pretty amazing at how loyal Prime subscribers are. So huge brand loyalty, huge presence in the e-commerce space, and because of that, people start out their product searches on Amazon. There are various estimates that are floating out there, but we think that the majority of searches, when people are deep in their conversion funnel, they're looking to make a purchase, they don't Google it, they look for it on Amazon. And that's why it's such an important point for brands to be in order to meet that customer demand and put your product, your brand in front of them. The other big point that is important to make about Amazon and their position in the funnel is that, two other points actually. People are using it to buy things, but they also use it as a huge research tool. So even if you're not, if they're not making a purchase, if they're in a store, they'll search for things on Amazon, look at reviews, check prices, and so again, that opportunity to be in front of them is really important for advertisers. For those who are shopping online, Amazon, of course, owns the conversion data. So you have full transparency into what's going on with those ads. Are they buying the product you're advertising? Are they buying a related product? And that's a huge source of value in the overall Amazon ecosystem for being able to reach and target the right customers. Of course, because of all this, they've built a massive and growing advertising business. In their Q2 earnings call this year, the other revenue, which they say is primarily sales of advertising services, was $2.2 billion. And so, that puts them on a run rate of at least $8 billion in ad spend for 2018. It's not quite as big as Google or Facebook, of course, but growing really fast and with that important spot that they play in the funnel, an area that advertisers need to be in. We've done some research earlier this year, surveyed 500 digital marketers globally and asked them, what are some of the top trends that they think would impact their business most this year? And the number 2 answer behind the increasing dominance of Google and Facebook was the rise of Amazon. So really top of mind for a lot of brands out there trying to figure out how to work with Amazon, and that's kind of the goal of this webinar. You've got we at Marin Software see a world where you've got Google, Facebook, and Amazon as the 3 dominant pillars of online advertising, and you need to work across these pillars to make the most of your performance. These are companies that aren't going to work together and support you, and so keeping an eye on how your customer journey evolves across those 3 channels is a really important part of digital marketing in 2018. We also asked our survey respondents what they thought of Amazon and the advertising options on Amazon. And down in the left corner here, you see retail vertical, and the majority of retailers see Amazon as a growth opportunity for them. So this is retail and brand advertisers. So strong growth opportunity. There are a few respondents who did see Amazon as competition, or they're concerned about that. This ranged a little bit across the different verticals, but was in the 15 to 30% range. And so for most advertisers out there, they see Amazon as an opportunity. It's a great way to reach additional customers with strong targeting. And one thing that I think is pretty interesting about these responses is how big an opportunity some of the verticals outside of the core retail and brand business, which you'd expect to be excited about Amazon, are. So automotive companies, financial services, travel, all view Amazon as a growth opportunity for them. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the ad formats that are suitable for brands that are not directly selling products on Amazon. Although the way that I think about it, if you think that Amazon is not going to affect your industry, you're probably underestimating Jeff Bezos' ambition. I think that there's a lot of these verticals that over time will be touched by Amazon in some way. And so even if you're not, a manufacturer or a retailer, keeping an eye on Amazon and how they're affecting the advertising ecosystem is still something that's important for you to do. As part of the Q2 earnings call, their CFO had a quote. It says that we're working with advertisers of all types and sizes to help them reach our customer base with the goal of driving brand awareness, discovery, better purchase decisions by the customer. And I think the all types we just talked about, different verticals, are supported here. People who are selling on Amazon, people who are vendors to Amazon, and people who are not selling on Amazon are all represented And it's also all sizes of companies, from the biggest Fortune 500 CPG companies out there, they're active advertisers on Amazon, down to the smallest mom and pop who is selling on Amazon Marketplace. All of those and everywhere in between, there is an ad offering for you that can help you drive more sales of your products on Amazon. And so, if you are actively involved in the Amazon ecosystem, you should be looking at how you can use advertising as one of the levers to help you promote your sales. If that's not enough, this is an Amazon landing page. And that ad you see at the top, or the first thing you see at the top of the page, that's an ad. The next two products, that's an ad. What you're seeing now are Amazon's own brands, and it's only here, a couple of screens below the fold that you're seeing organic results. So if you've been selling on Amazon and you're counting on the organic search results, the natural results that are coming in when you search for something to drive traffic, as Amazon devotes more and more of their inventory, their space on the page to advertising, you're going to have a harder time getting noticed. And so it's become somewhat of a necessity to advertise, and we'll get a little bit more into that as I go into the specific ad formats. So as we think about the advertising solutions on Amazon, there are two big categories that you should think about. The first one is called Amazon Marketing Solutions, or AMS, and those are the product-based ads for people who are selling on Amazon, either as a vendor to Amazon or selling on the Amazon Marketplace. And that's where I'll spend the majority of my time on this webinar, going through the various options under AMS. There's also a second branch, which is called Amazon Media Group, or AMG. And AMG is all about display and video advertising on Amazon-owned and operated properties, or the Amazon ecosystem. So, of course, on Amazon.com, but also on the properties they own, like IMDb, Twitch, which, in my opinion, presents a huge opportunity for video advertising for Amazon, and even Kindle. And Bryant will spend a little more time talking about some of the experience that Purple had, and that experience included using some of those AMG products. So let's focus in on AMS initially here and talk about what some of those ad formats that you may have seen quickly on that previous slide look like. So the first format is a headline search ad. And so this is what the ad that's highlighted on the top of the page here. It shows up on a Amazon search results page, or SERP, and it consists of that a logo that you can specify, or an image that you can specify, so the Advil on the left, a short headline, the #1 selling OTC pain reliever, and then a few products. And these we'll get into a little bit more how these are constructed later on, but it's this really prominent placement at the top of the search results page before you get to any actual specific product results. The second ad format available in AMS is sponsored product ads. And these are the ad units that are highlighted here, and they look very similar to the organic results, which you can see in the row below. The only difference between them is that subtle sponsored logo under in the middle of the ad. So for a lot of users, they're not even aware that these ads are showing up in the search results because it is so subtle. They just see, here's what's available, and they find the product that's relevant for them. So you can use these ads to get your products more prominently placed in the search results, and we'll talk a little bit more about different strategies with sponsored product ads in a bit. Sponsored product ads can also show up on other areas on the page. So this is once I've drilled into a specific product. That's called the product details page. And I've scrolled down a little bit, and there's other sponsored products that are showing up in various locations. So there are different spots that these can show up throughout the different pages on Amazon. And then the last category is product display ads. So these are still based on products. The format is slightly different, and the use cases are a little a little bit different, but basically it's another product-based ad unit that Amazon offers for its sellers and vendors.
But for now, let's hand it over to Bryant for an overview of how Purple used Amazon to drive growth.
So again, Bryant Garvin here. I'm currently the Director of Online Advertising at iServe, which is a company that actually partners with brands like Skullcandy, Kong Dog Toys, and others to essentially be an exclusive seller on Amazon and help them control map pricing, do their advertising, do all of that stuff. And prior to that, though, I was the OG ads person over at Purple and helped them grow from starting in 2016 to going public in February of this year. These are some of the press that's been out over the last year or so. And this next slide, though, I think is what's really, really interesting in that the growth. Everybody here has seen the Google Trends chart before. And this is really interesting overlaying Casper, which has been around a couple years longer than Purple. They also had a lot of massive investment. Latest, I think they've taken in about $240 million in venture capital to grow their business. Purple launched January 2016, and one of the things that helped Purple grow, aside from the differentiation of the product, was the differentiation of the advertising and the marketing. We strategically looked at opportunities to play in arenas that everybody else wasn't comfortable or they just weren't really investing there. Instead of doing what most e-commerce companies do and running really heavy on non-brand shopping and competitor conquesting on search, we actually focused on video and other platforms like Amazon strategically to help grow the business. And as you notice, by the end of the Google Trends chart here, the chart is now indexed off of Purple instead of Casper, which is pretty amazing. So when thinking about Amazon, right, a lot of resellers, a lot of brands I've talked to, they're really not sure where to classify Amazon. For me personally, I actually believe that Amazon is really a part of a direct-to-consumer business. It's one of your channels, your distribution channels, and direct-to-consumer. And so when I think about Amazon, we culo, papi chulo, right? Like it's definitely an opportunity there and one that brands should be focusing on. I think that more and more brands are starting to view it that way as an opportunity instead of as a nemesis or a roadblock for their growth. And those that actually take that opportunity are going to really be able to grow it. Right? One of my favorite things from the Amazon Q1 call was the fact that their advertising platform on Amazon is now a multi-billion-dollar program. It's massive. So if you're not paying attention, it's something you should start paying attention to. And in Purple, we spent a lot of time on platform using AMS products like sponsored product, headline search, things like that. But we also invested in Amazon Media Group because it was an opportunity for us to leverage a lot of the Amazon data and reach consumers outside of the normal experience on Amazon, right? Whether that be display ads on IMDb or even potentially on Kindle, right, as a Kindle wake screen ad. So with Amazon Media Group, I'm going to go through this and talk through a couple of different options. There's the link in campaigns, and when you'll hear this lingo, link in, link out, it's all from the point of Amazon. So a link in campaign would be driving into your product, your detailed page views on Amazon, right? So you're driving directly into Amazon with your reviews, the buy box, product selection, all of that stuff there. There's also, and this is how some of the ads look in the wild on display, right? Where you're able to pull in pricing, you're able to pull in reviews, you're able to even add an add to cart button potentially to your ads. So there's a lot of functionality there when you're doing link in campaigns. But you can also, if you play by Amazon's rule and do it the right way, you can also get permission to run some link out campaigns. So you can drive directly to your website. It has to be more of a branding play, but it can have major impact as you can reach those same consumers in another platform. And Purple leveraged both of these as a strategic opportunity to drive people that were in market based on Amazon data to Purple, to our pages on Amazon, and help them with the process. Kindle ads is one of my favorite things. Like, this is a completely unique format available. They're running betas now where you can even run video that autoplays on mute. They can choose to watch the whole thing. You could pull in reviews from your Amazon customers and even just have them shop directly there. And out of all the ad units that I've ran, this one has the best click-through rate. The product detail page view rate is amazing. It is definitely more of a top-of-funnel awareness type of play, but it has a huge impact on that middle and bottom of funnel, and it's one that I think a lot of advertisers should look to. There's some of the different examples, and you can notice a lot of them are more, they're definitely branding, like just trying to say, hey, we're purple, check us out, right? So as far as tracking goes with Amazon Media Group, it's really old school right now, in that they're using 1-by-1 pixel images to do that. And anybody that's been around long enough to remember 1-by-1 pixel images knows that there's no JavaScript there, which means they're not passing through any revenue if you're tracking stuff on your website. And one of the things that I think that a lot of advertisers do when they jump into AMG specifically is they ignore tracking revenue on their websites. And I think that's an issue because there are people that will only buy on Amazon, a huge portion of people, but there are also those that are more willing to buy on your website. Maybe you offer some other promotional opportunities or other things like that. So being able to track that revenue and those sales on your platform is going to make a big difference. And so one of the things we did at Purple is we tiered those pixels, basically tiered them by cart size so that we can actually pull in some of the revenue that we've got there. So the awesome thing though is, like Wes mentioned, you can track all of your product sales on Amazon. You can see all of the add to carts, all of the purchases, number of units, the dollar value, all of those things. And so when you combine all of those things through AMG, both what you're getting on site and on Amazon, like you can use it as a really considered purchase opportunity, right? When you drive, for example, people that have visited your website back to an Amazon listing, which is counterintuitive to most brands today, it actually is a huge opportunity because, to be blunt, they're already searching on Amazon to review it, to make sure, because Amazon reviews are widely trusted. They're one of the few platforms that consumers look at the reviews and they believe what's there because Amazon polices it really heavily. So that's kind of the story of Purple. What we've used Amazon for, like, I think is a huge opportunity and one that everybody should really dig in on.
Thanks, Bryant. That was a great overview.
So let's talk about getting your campaigns set up and going to a little bit more detail about how these ads are constructed and targeted. For AMS, this all begins in Amazon's Campaign Manager. This is their self-serve tool where you can go in and create, report on, and build out your ads. And, this is a tool, it's not quite, because Amazon advertising is a little bit newer, it's not quite as sophisticated as what you might be familiar with Google Ads, or formerly known as AdWords, or with Facebook's Ads Manager. But it has, a lot of the tools that you need to get started. Of course, there's also third-party platforms that can help you do this, and this is what Marin Software offers. We are a platform that will help you to manage, measure, and optimize your digital spend across not only Amazon, but also search and social. So you can have your Google, your Facebook, your Amazon all unified in a single place, and there's a lot of advantages to doing that we'd love to talk to you more about in a follow-up session. So you can use the Amazon tools to get started. You can use a third party. Either way, when you're setting up ads, there's a couple of components that you need to be aware of. So all of these ad formats they're mostly targeted to keywords. So to create a headline search ad, which is the first one that we'll talk about, you're combining an image. So you see that Calvin Klein logo on the left with a short headline and a couple of products. So you can pick the products from your product catalog, the items that you're already sending up to Amazon for sale. And Amazon handles all of the intricacies of, are things in stock or out of stock? Do you have the buy box? Your ads are only going to be shown if you have the buy box, things like that. So you don't have to worry about that aspect of it, but you want to align those products that you're selecting with keywords. So for a headline search ad like this, your keywords that you choose may be things like Calvin Klein fragrances, men's fragrances, and you want to think about the interaction between the keywords and the actual specific products, or in the Amazon world, these are referred to as ASINs, the ASINs that you're targeting in those ads. Now, with headline search ads, there's actually 3 possible destinations for somebody who's interacting with your ad. If somebody clicks on the headline of your ad, they can go to one of two places. They can go to your Amazon store. So this is an example of an Amazon store. And an Amazon store is basically a storefront that you set up within the Amazon environment that's focused exclusively on your products. And it can be a incredibly compelling experience, and you've got a lot of room to customize that. What it also does is presents other brands from getting in front of your customers. So if somebody's clicked on a Calvin Klein ad, they're going to see only Calvin Klein products, and they're well curated, well merchandised. The second option you have for a landing page is actually a search results page. But if you click from a headline search ad, it doesn't look like that search results page we saw earlier in the webinar. It's actually just focused on your products, and it doesn't show any competitors. And from both the store or the customized search page, you can add products directly to the cart. And this skips over the product detail page and avoids your competitors from coming in and showing competitive ads. The third destination for headline search ads is if somebody clicks on the products themselves. So if you clicked on that Eternity Aqua product, you would be taken, of course, to that product details page. So a few different options that you can think about for setting up your headline search ad. As you think about keyword selection, you want to think about where the user might be in the funnel for that search and make sure that the ASINs, the product assortment, matches that term. So if somebody does a generic term or pretty broad search like polos, you probably want to be displaying mostly polo shirts. In this example, looks like they've thrown a hat in there. If somebody's looking for a polo shirt, would putting a hat as one of the products that's included in that be the best practice? Maybe not, but this may be something that they've tested and tried out and found it to work for them. So this is something that you can experiment around with for your business and figure out what works for you. The next example is maybe a little bit further down in the funnel. They're looking for a specific brand and a specific product, and you want to make sure that the products that you select are aligned with those keywords. And, the last example is even, one level further. And I think the advertisers here are doing a great job making sure that they're showing the products that are relevant for that user search. Because if you're, just showing products that aren't relevant to what you're looking for, that's going to be an annoying, distracting ad. But if you can give them something that matches their stated intent, they're going to not see that as an ad. They're going to click on it because it's what they're looking for. As we think about measurement for these ad formats, Amazon provides all of the standard measurements that you'd expect. So, clicks and impressions and cost per click. They do conversion tracking. There's a couple of nuances to advertising on Amazon and the metrics they provide that I want to highlight. One is on conversions. So when you track conversions, you actually get a couple of conversion metrics. There's total sales for your brand. So, did they click on an ad and did they buy something from your brand? And then there's also same SKU sales. So you can get a sense, and looking at the ratio between those two gives you a sense of, are you putting the right product in front of them initially, or do you need to adjust the product that's being shown? Because if you're driving sales, but it's typically of a different SKU, then, you may not have the right products matching the keywords as we saw in the previous example. The other metric that's interesting from Amazon is detail page views. And so this is essentially how many products the advertiser is looking at, the user is looking at once they've clicked on an ad. And, a high number of detailed page views can actually be a good thing. That means you're putting an interesting assortment in front of them. And so if somebody searched on the left here for SmileMaker sticker animals, as an example, if you're putting a bunch of different products in that look good to them and they're clicking through them, that's great. That's a good product assortment. If you're doing something like the example on the right and, somebody searches for Clairol shampoo and only one of the examples is shampoo and as a result, you don't see a lot of detailed page views. That may be an indication of a selection mismatch. And so keeping an eye on a metric like detailed page views can give you a sense of the health of your ads and how well you've targeted the keywords to the products being shown. For product display ads, there's a few different options that you have for targeting. The first option is for targeting specific products. So you can actually target by ASIN. And so in this example, you see, they've targeted this Advil product for their ad to be shown on the product details page. This is a great use case for this is complementary products. So if you've got something that's related to another product that you want to get in front of the shopper, you can use ASIN targeting to link those two up together in their mind. But there's two other categories for product display ads. There's category targeting. So if somebody searched for a category like Bluetooth speakers, you can have your product show up. And this can extend your reach in addition to the sponsored product ads. Or you can also target interests. So, in an example like this, here it's a little bit small, but there's a Kleenex ad showing up for against fishing reels. Not sure why Kleenex is targeting fishermen, but that's a way to drive awareness for your brand and build interest in your brand. And then the last category of ads in AMS are these sponsored product ads. And again, these are keyword targeted ads. So it's based on what the user searches in the search bar, and you can match the keywords to the products that are shown for that. Again, similar with headline search ads, you want to think about where people are in the funnel and make sure that you're matching the right products to the right queries. And with sponsored product ads, you actually have the ability to use different match types. So you can have, similar to what you might be familiar with in the search world, paid search world, you can have broad phrase exact keywords to make sure that you're getting only the type of traffic that you want to see. And then you can also use negative keywords to steer traffic to specific ads or specific ad groups. So, I may have an ad group that's about pain relief where I don't know exactly what they're looking for, so I'm going to show the broad range of Advil products. But I don't want people who are searching for Advil to show up in those ads because it's going to kind of muddle my performance. So what I would do in that case is add pain relief as a keyword for that ad group and put Advil as a negative keyword to make sure that Advil traffic wasn't shown there, and I show that against a broad assortment of products. At the other end of the spectrum, if somebody searches for Advil PM, I may have an exact match for that, and I'm going to show only the Advil PM product. And by segmenting this out and having it be a specific query for a specific product, you can better optimize your account. Because people who are looking for pain relief, they're not necessarily loyal Advil customers. It's a great opportunity to get in front of them, but you may or may not convert there. That conversion rate is probably going to be very different than for somebody who is looking for Advil PM specifically. You can put Advil PM in front of them. You can probably bid higher. So you want those kind of segmented out, and that's what using the different match types and negative keywords can help you achieve. If this all seems, like it's a little bit complicated or overwhelming, there is good news. Amazon does offer a concept of automatic versus manual campaigns. So with automatic campaigns, so the keyword targeting and things that I just went through are examples of manual targeting. With automatic targeting, you actually are just telling Amazon, hey, show ads against my products. So, if you're a seller or a vendor on Amazon, you've got your product feed that's already going in there. It knows what products you want. You just give it a budget and let Amazon target show ads to users that it thinks are relevant for your products. This is really easy for setup. It's good for coverage to make sure that you've got everything in your product catalog covered. The challenge with it is you don't get to optimize down to the individual product level and differentiate between a query coming in on back pain versus somebody coming in on Advil PM, which you likely want to do. So it's a great way to get started, but then what you want to do is use that for keyword harvesting and take your top keywords, top searches that are coming in, and move those over to manual campaigns. And what manual campaigns allow you to do is more precise targeting based on what people are actually looking for. And it can help you to focus your efforts and bid differentially on different areas of your account. Another tip that we've heard from Amazon is you can actually prime its machine learning algorithms with your best performing products. So if you're getting started on Amazon and you can bring over your top performing keywords from your paid search or from SEO and focus on advertising those products first, Amazon's going to have a good impression of the performance of your account, and that's what it's going to be used as you launch additional campaigns, as you launch additional products. And so by creating that first impression and a high performance in that first impression, your follow-on campaigns actually will likely have a little bit better performance and get a little bit more visibility as the algorithm is learning, okay, how do those individual specific keywords actually perform? So a little advanced tip for building out your campaigns by starting with your top performing keywords. All right, so before we jump over to Q&A, I wanted to give just 5 quick tips on how to get the most out of these different ad formats that we've been talking about. So we'll cover each of these. I won't go through each of them in detail, but 5 things that you can do and hopefully use to get started with your campaigns. The first tip is to protect your turf. Make sure you're bidding on your own brand terms. This is something that's, you see this in the paid search world where even though you may show up organically at the top of the page, you should still be bidding on your brand terms, because if you don't, a competitor may have the opportunity to come in and bid on your brand terms. So somebody searches for Omaha Steaks, a competitor can come in and be at the top of the search results page, and that's not something you want. You don't want to open the door for that type of conquesting. Brian, I think you guys had some thoughts with how you approached defending your turf and thinking about this with Purple. Any color from your experience?
Yeah, what I've noticed is if you have the attention, your competitors are going to want to try and steal it. And so being there and defending your turf is a great opportunity, but it's also an opportunity if you're introducing new products or you want to drive awareness for specific products that people may not be aware of, if there's a special, something like that. Like, you can use these sponsored product ads, these headline search ads, as opportunities to do that, right? Like a headline search, you've got actual text that you can edit there, that headline that's right there. So that's a great way to do it. But again, it's also an opportunity for people to conquest. So you can use it as a conquesting opportunity if your competitors aren't savvy enough to, make sure that they own their real estate.
Cool. Thank you. All right. The second tip is to make sure that you're reviewing your search term report. So you bid on keywords, and those keywords are matched against specific queries that the users are typing into that search bar on Amazon. What the search term report does is provide you with the actual queries that are being typed in. And so if you go into the campaign manager under advertising here, you can see the reports, you can run a search term report. And what it's going to show you is those actual queries. And what you need to think about is, especially if you're using automatic campaigns, should I break these keywords out and move them over to a manual campaign so I can bid on them separately? Or are there queries that aren't relevant to my business that I should be adding as a negative? And then the more nuanced version of that is, should I add negatives to specific ad groups because I've got queries showing up, in the back pane ad that I don't want to. I want that to show up on the Advil PM ad or Advil migraine keyword. So a few different things that you can do with the search term report. In terms of, in terms of thinking about graduating to their own, you should think about the volume that a keyword's getting. You want to be concentrating your efforts on things that are going to move the needle. And so you should be looking at, if a keyword's getting a sufficient amount of volume, and this is going to vary depending on the size of your account, then it should probably be broken out and moved over to a manual campaign so you can keep an eye on the performance of that keyword. The third tip is around stores. So this is another example of a store within Amazon. As you see, it looks like a web page, and it's a great immersive experience. whether you're driving traffic to Amazon from external sites or you're using those headline shopping ads, you want to have a strong landing page for your customers and potential customers to see. And so you should make sure that your company is investing in the store and you've got that experience. This may not be something that you're responsible for as the one running the paid media, but just like you want a quality landing page on your website to make sure that the investment that you're making in advertising is going to perform, you want to make sure that you've got a solid experience on Amazon as well. And as I mentioned earlier, the beauty of the store is there you can, one, add things directly to cart. But two, you can also, there's not going to be any competitive ads that are shown in your store. So you're blocking out the ability of your competition to come in and show ads for somebody that you've paid to acquire already. The fourth tip is not something that should be surprising to anybody that's involved in digital marketing, but within the Amazon world, you should continue to test. Here's the images that you see are two examples of types of tests that an advertiser might be able to do. Does it make more sense to show my brand logo, or should I show an image of a product? What should the wording, the call to action on that headline be? What products should I show, and how do the products line up with the keywords that I'm bidding against? Those are all things that you should be thinking about and really trying out and just experimenting. You may think that shop quality hand-cut steaks is the right headline, but let the data speak. Try a different version of the ad and see what drives better conversion rates. Product details pages is mentioned there, and that brings us to the last tip. The product details page on Amazon is an important part of the conversion funnel. There's a ton of information there and a ton of space for you to put quality content in front of your shoppers, but there's also a lot of room for Amazon to put content there. As an example, what we're looking at here is on a lot of product details pages, you'll see this compare with similar items chart. And if I'm a printer manufacturer, you'll see that it's showing multiple brands here on this page. If I've paid to drive a user using a sponsored product ad to this product, I don't necessarily want my competitors showing up here. And so what you'll see brands doing is investing in their own comparison chart. So this would show up a little bit higher on the page. It's all printers from the same brand, so that if the initial product that they clicked on isn't exactly right, you're giving them a roadmap for your product line and which one may be right for them before Amazon is able to do it and send them off to a different brand. So that's just an example of how you can use that product details page to really create a good experience for your shopper and give them the information they need to make a purchase decision. Again, this usually isn't the exact domain of the digital marketer, but this is something that you should be pushing your team to make sure that there's a quality landing page experience for that investment you're making in your ads. So just to recap real quick, protect your turf. Make sure you're using those headline search ads to bid on your brand terms and not let people conquest you. Review the search queries to make sure that you are taking your top volume terms and breaking them out and applying negatives where you should be. Make sure you've got good experiences on your landing page, both in terms of a store and the product details page. And of course, test. That goes across everything. So with that, I hope that's a solid foundation for everybody on Amazon advertising. I know we've got a ton of great questions, so let me hand it back to Karen to moderate our questions.
Great. Thank you, Wes. You are right. We have lots and lots of questions, and you and Bryant have been giving so much good information, and we're gonna keep your minds thinking by answering some of our questions. So let's see. There's so many places to start. Let's start right here. Audience, I'm going to read the question out loud for you, and then Brian and Wes are going to offer their answers. So here's our first question. Does Amazon offer a keyword search volume tool like Google's Keyword Planner, but for Amazon search volume? I'm going to let Brian start with this one. Wes will give you a chance to catch your breath, and then you can chime in. Brian, does Amazon have such a tool?
So within Amazon itself, like if you're in Seller Central and you're using that, there isn't necessarily. Some of the bigger brands through Vendor Central actually have access to a cool tool called ARAP, A-R-A-P, where they can put in specific keywords and see, and it's kind of indexed. It's not actual search volume, so it's more of a ranking of how much volume that gets in comparison to every other keyword search on Amazon and what the top products are that are there. So bigger brands definitely have an advantage there. There are some third-party tools out there, though, that try to do that, and I can't remember them off the top of my head, but there are some out there as well.
Wes, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think it's as I mentioned, the type of tools that you get within Amazon are not quite as developed as advertisers may be used to in the search world, with Google. But I would expect that Amazon will continue, is going to continue to quickly evolve and bring some of those same type of capabilities in. So, I think that the tool that Brian mentioned is great internally, and I would expect that to be available for more advertisers over time.
Okay, let's keep going. Here's one. Wes, you can start here. Do you recommend Amazon for B2B? And our attendee says, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but wondered if there may be some relevance. So I think that's a good question, right? We think about Amazon, that we're buying all our sort of consumer needs, but how about for business, Wes?
I think it depends. There's two big categories, right? For people who are selling on Amazon to businesses, absolutely. I think people are loyal Prime customers, and if you have needs for buying things online, Amazon is a place where people start. And so, even though it may be something for their business, I think Amazon is still a platform for that and would look to cover that. If you're talking about, leveraging the Amazon audience for people who are not selling something on Amazon, so this would be the more AMG side of the house, display ads that would click off, I still think it's an interesting opportunity to explore. I think with phones, in everybody's hands, we are in a world where people bounce back and forth between different channels and different states of mind, and between work and pleasure all throughout the day. This happens at your desk. It happens when you get home. You're still checking email. So, to think of any channel as like, oh, that's I shouldn't be bothering somebody when they're on Amazon because they're not in a business state of mind. I don't know that's a good way to approach things in this day and age. We see something similar with Facebook. I running marketing, I get bombarded with B2B software advertising, and my Facebook and Instagram feeds are filled with ads for things. And, those brands are able to get in front of me and build awareness because that's where my eyeballs are. So Amazon and AMG presents that opportunity as well, if that's where you think your buyers might be spending their time.
Brian, any opinion on this?
My biggest thing is, like I mentioned, part of Purple's growth, and one of my core strategies that I leverage for brands that we work with is trying to do what everybody else isn't. So it may seem counterintuitive, like Wes was saying, for a B2B brand to advertise on Amazon, but the B2B buyers are still on Amazon, and there's not a lot of B2B advertisers on Amazon right now, so the noise isn't going to be as big there. So if you can reach the right people on Amazon through that advertising, I think it's a great opportunity.
Great, that's a good point. Wes, we had this one come in for you. We'll sneak this in quick before we get on to some more. What support does Marin offer for Amazon Marketing Services? So I guess we've got someone out there interested in hearing what you guys offer.
Yeah, I love taking this one. So Marin will help you measure, manage, and optimize your Amazon Marketing Services ads. So for the headline shopping ads and product ads, we've got full reporting and advanced analytics, including incorporating all of your search and social data as well. But we think it's a platform that's a little bit more advanced than what you get with the standard reporting in Campaign Manager. And then the huge value add is around optimization. So we have our algorithms that will automatically look at the performance of your campaigns and your keywords and help you to, you set a target in terms of ROI or ACoS, advertising cost to sales is the Amazon, how they think about the performance. It's just the inverse of ROI. But you set that target, and we will automatically monitor your keywords and bid based on the performance. And as that changes over time, we'll adjust it to help you hit that target. We've got our initial customers using bidding. We've seen, huge increases, 20, 30% increases in the performance of their campaigns relative to what they were doing before.
Great. All right, let's keep going. Brian, I'm going to target this one to you first. I'm sure Wes will want to chime in. Does Amazon allow advertisers to target ads based on location? And if the answer is yes, what location level, zip code, etc.? So, Brian, I'm sure you have some experience with that, right? Location-based targeting is a big deal right now.
It is a big deal, and as Wes has mentioned, Amazon is a little bit behind the curve on some things. So specifically with AMS, there's not a lot of opportunity to do just like zip code level targeting or state targeting or other stuff like that. That's where you have to start playing in the Amazon advertising platform or AMG world, because they do offer some, if you think of AMG as more like a DSP almost, that's leveraging the data that Amazon has. The functionality there is definitely better, whereas Amazon is really more like a search platform, and they don't care where people live because they'll search anywhere. So running like the sponsored products, the headline search, those product display ads, there's not a lot of opportunity there, at least in my experience, to do geo-targeting. Hopefully they will in the future.
Yeah, I definitely would expect to see that in the future. I mean, you can think of, there's a lot of different applications, but an obvious one, given how much people leverage Amazon for research, is, am I standing in a retail store? If I'm doing a search for TVs and I'm standing in a Best Buy, which, it's pretty easy for them to ascertain that, do I want to let you target something separately? Or, am I in a competitor's store? You may think about that differently, but location is an important part of that, and I think it's something they're thinking about. I don't know exactly when that would materialize.
All right, let's try and squeeze one more in here that is probably relevant for a lot of our audience. Wes, we'll stick with you, and then I'm sure Bryant will want to answer as well. As an agency, how can we manage Amazon advertising for our clients? So maybe speak to how agencies can use this, Wes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fundamentally any different than how you would approach any other channel. There is a little bit more involved with selling on Amazon in terms of having the product feed integration and things like that you may want to be involved with. But for Marin, our platform, we almost half of our customers are agencies, brands working with agencies, and so we have the ability to quickly switch between different client accounts. So you can have advertisers segmented in different accounts, but you can report on them individually, or you can have unified reporting if you're looking at things across your entire book of business. But I don't have any specific differences on working with Amazon versus working as an agency on other channels. You need to be working closely with your clients to understand their business goals and things like that. But I think Amazon is just another channel to be working with.
Yeah,
Ryan,
and
anything to
for
add?
me, yeah, so the big thing that I would add is like the big difference between agency management of accounts on, say, Google or Facebook versus Amazon is there's not like a business manager or a manager account where you just have where you're just linking a bunch of your advertisers there. So I definitely think third parties like Marin is a great opportunity to leverage something that can kind of consolidate all of that into one login or one opportunity for you there. But it's really no different. Just be really aware of what Amazon can and can't do for your advertisers and where the opportunity is there. If you're a bigger advertiser or a bigger brand, definitely look into Amazon Media Group as opportunities there to try and leverage some of the power of Amazon in different ways as well.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. So I want to thank Brian and Wes for a very informative and timely presentation. And I want to thank our audience for your great questions. I know there were a lot of them, and we didn't get a chance to answer them all here, but don't worry, we are going to pass them along to our friends at Marin Software for follow-up. I want to give a special thank you to our sponsor, Marin Software, which you can visit, as you see here, at www.marinsoftware.com. That's all for our broadcast today. We look forward to seeing you next time.